By statistics, Nigerians consume up to 1.5 million tons of fresh tomatoes, and they are also graded as the largest importer of tomato paste in Africa. More notably, companies are also joining the tomato and paste business, hence making the demand for fresh tomatoes high. With these stats, don't you think it's a good idea for one to start a tomato business in Nigeria? As a matter of fact, whoever that ventures into this business will cover miles within months, with a huge income. The amazing thing about tomato is that it can be used to prepare virtually every meal in Nigeria, increasing the rate at which people demand it. Many people are doing the business locally by planting it in their backyard, while others do engage in commercial tomato farming. Another amazing thing about tomato business is that you don't need much capital to start it. With minimal cash, you can start up the business. I'm here to give you the step-by-step guideline to which you can start the tomato business in Nigeria. So what are the various ways to start up the tomato business in Nigeria? Well, there are different ways to run this business. In this video, I'll be showing you the different paths so you can make a choice which path you would like to follow. Number 1, planting and selling the tomatoes. You can start by planting the tomatoes and sell the proceeds to people that need it. You can decide to sell wholesale to retailers that will sell in small quantities, or you can sell to factories that produce tomato paste and big restaurants that cook a large quantity of food. Number 2, you can buy the tomatoes and sell them too. If you cannot cope with the stress of farming, you can as well buy the tomatoes and sell to people that need them. There are some that use tomatoes in large quantities but do not have the chance or opportunity of going out to buy them. You can identify such individuals or businesses and supply them with the ones that you've bought. Number 3, you can venture into dried tomato business. Tomatoes have a season, and when it's out of season, it becomes difficult to get and very expensive too. In such a period, you can venture into dried tomatoes. You can get fresh tomatoes when it's abundant and dry them, then start selling them when it becomes scarce. The fourth option you can go for is tomato paste production. This involves packaging and selling tomatoes to people in a fresh way. You can grind fresh tomatoes and process them in tins and sell them to the public. There are some other things you need to know about the tomato business before you delve into it, and one of them is paying close attention to the rules that govern the cultivation of tomatoes. These rules contribute to making your tomato business very lucrative if you adhere to them. Let's talk about the rules that help you in tomato farming. 1. Get a land. Before you go into farming, you would first of all get a land where you plant your seeds. Before you pick a land, make sure it's a place that is fertile and will promote growth of tomatoes. A place that is sunny and well drained. A place that is sunny and well drained is the best for tomatoes. Even if it's your backyard, make sure it is well drained and very sunny. Number 2, prepare your land. After getting the land, the next thing is to get the land prepared. You do this by removing unwanted weeds and making your soil beds. After this, apply organic fertilizer on the land and water on the land for some days. Also, make sure you have a good water supply system for your farm. The acidity or alkalinity of the soil, which is the pH level, should be between 6.0 to 6.8. Don't let it go above or beyond that level, so that it will not affect the growth or the quality of your tomatoes. Number 3, get tomato seeds and plant. After preparing the land, the next is to get the tomato seeds and plant them. These seeds come in a sachet sealed with necessary instructions on how to use them. It should be easy to follow the instructions, but in case you were to encounter any difficulty, you can ask people that are already into the business to guide you on how to plant the tomatoes. The Ministry of Agriculture is a very good place where you can get the seedlings and experts to give you advice. The tomato seed is a tropical plant, so any temperature that is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit would kill it. It needs at least 60 degrees and 80 degrees to germinate, and you would need to keep it within room temperature at all times. The best period to plant tomatoes is in March or April, which is when the rain starts falling and there is also heat. You, first of all, plant them in a nursery where they will be exposed to 4 hours of sunlight every day. Number 4, relocate your tomatoes. When the tomato seeds grows to a certain stage, then it is time to transfer it to another place. This should take place when the plant has grown to 2 or 3 inches in the nursery. The temperature of this process should be about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Here are the steps to take before transplanting your tomatoes. Number 1. Dig a hole in your tomato bed. The hole you should dig should be deeper than the one you dug for your nursery bed. There should be space between the tomatoes to avoid the spread of diseases and for them to grow well. Number 2. Remove the tomato plants one by one from the nursery bed and gently loose the roots. Now, plant the tomatoes in the holes you've dug in the new bed. Gently use the soil to cover the roots, allowing only the leaves to show. And finally, water the plant. Getting your tomatoes to maturity. Tomatoes have different times of maturity, depending on the type planted. The average period of maturity is 65 to 90 days. Before this period, make sure you do everything necessary to enable your tomatoes mature properly. When watering, it should touch the soil and not leave the leaves. This should be done every 5 to 7 days. Try to avoid soil-borne diseases that could affect the growth of the plant. You should also plant the tomatoes at intervals so that all of them do not mature at the same time. The next step is acquire knowledge. You shouldn't be isolated to make it in the tomatoes farming business. You should get acquainted with those already in the business. Ask them questions and learn from them. You can also go online and read about the tomato farming business and how people made it in that field. Get acquainted with all the knowledge you can about the tomato business. Some of the information you should know about tomatoes is 1. Obviously, what are the kinds of tomatoes you can plant? There are different species of tomatoes. It is a good thing to get to know them so you know how to handle each one and which one is suitable for your customers, depending on their needs. Number 1, cherry tomatoes. This is good for making salads and snacks. The fruit is the type of tomato that is small, so it's always the first to mature. Number 2 is the beefsteak tomato. This is one of the biggest and has one of the best flavors. Some people like it and take it like apples. It is also very good in making sandwiches. Number 3, sauce tomatoes. This is also called Roma, and it has the lower water content. Because of its low water content, it lasts a lot longer than others. Most people start their tomato farming with this type of tomato. The tomato business in Nigeria can never be overemphasized, as it will continue to yield, whether your business is small or large scale. You just have to ensure that you follow the best tomato farming practices to be able to succeed. So there you have it. These are the steps you can take and the different ways of running a tomato business in Nigeria.